Imagine, just for a second, that your body is running on this massive, completely hidden, ancient operating system. It's a silent, biological software that dictates literally everything, from how clearly you think right now to how well you're going to age. Now, imagine that our modern world is quietly, day by day, corrupting that exact software. Because, well, that is exactly what's happening with our circadian biology. So in this explainer, we are going to dive deep and uncover this hidden operating system. We'll look at the actual root causes of our modern exhaustion, and more importantly, show you exactly how to hack your biology back to its optimal state. Let's get into it.
So, are you unknowingly sabotaging a 500 million-year-old operating system right inside your cells? You know, when most of us hear the term circadian rhythm, we just kind of assume it means our basic sleep-wake cycle, right? Like a simple biological timer that just tells us when it's time to hit the pillow. But the research shows that is a massive understatement. This rhythm is an absolute evolutionary masterpiece. It has been forged over 2 trillion day-night cycles as the Earth spun on its axis. Our biology actually evolved to anticipate these highly reliable environmental changes, meaning this isn't just about getting good sleep, it's an ancient, hardwired mechanism of human survival.
Right at the center of this incredible survival system is something called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN. Think of the SCN as the grand biological conductor of a massive cellular orchestra. It sits right inside your brain's hypothalamus, and what it does is take in environmental cues, primarily sunlight that enters through these specialized photoreceptors in your eyes, and uses that light to set your master physiological 24-hour rhythm. It literally translates light into biological time, orchestrating your core body temperature, your hormonal fluctuations like cortisol and melatonin, and even your autonomic nervous system tone.
But here's where the plot really thickens. This biological timekeeping system isn't just locked away up in your brain. As Dr. Melissa Nauert from the Yale School of Medicine points out, every cell has a clock, and the brain has a central clock. And honestly, this completely changes how we have to understand our own bodies. We are talking about a highly decentralized network here. Nearly every single cell in your body, your liver cells, your muscle cells, your immune cells, possesses its own autonomous 24-hour clock. The brain's master SCN clock is really just there to try to keep all these billions of tiny cellular clocks playing the exact same song at the exact same time.
Now, the crucial data point here is honestly staggering: 80%. According to genetic research, nearly 80% of our genes function on a strict light-dark cycle. These are quite literally known as clock genes, and they control everything from your metabolic health and stress recovery to your immune system and your baseline cognitive performance. So when we talk about deep health and human longevity, we are talking about genes that turn on and off based on where the sun is in the sky. If you're blasting your eyes with artificial blue light at midnight, you are confusing 80% of your entire genetic code.
And this is where the science gets truly counterintuitive, because it reveals this fascinating dichotomy inside the body. On one side, you've got your central clock, the SCN, which is entirely light-driven. But on the other side, we have peripheral clocks. These are the localized clocks in your metabolic organs, like your liver, your pancreas, and your gut. Now, these organs don't have eyes, right? They obviously can't see the sun. So how do they know what time it is? Well, the answer is they dance to the timing of your meals. Food is their signal. Light dictates the brain's rhythm, but food dictates the body's rhythm. Which brings us to a frankly terrifying modern phenomenon called internal temporal fragmentation. Basically, what happens when you invert your schedule, say working a night shift, or constantly eating heavy meals at 11 p.m., well, you send intensely conflicting signals to your biological software. Your brain sees darkness and thinks it's time to sleep and repair, but your liver just received a massive influx of calories and thinks it's high noon. So the master clock in the brain and the peripheral clocks in your organs completely decouple. They desynchronize. Your brain and your body literally break up, and your internal operating system crashes. And the physiological cost of that crash? Man, it is severe. Chronic circadian misalignment leads to a shocking 37% increase in the risk of myocardial infarction, a heart attack, specifically observed in shift workers. So this is not just about feeling a bit tired or groggy the next day. This is about profound systemic stress. When your biological clocks are fragmented, your autonomic nervous system is thrown into absolute chaos, spiking your cardiovascular strain and elevating your risk for sudden, life-threatening events.
Let's just take a closer look at the sheer scale of this biological damage. The systemic consequences honestly read like a checklist for accelerated aging. First, we see sympathovagal dysregulation. That just means your body's fight-or-flight response is entirely out of balance, leaving you constantly stressed out and unable to repair properly. We also see elevated blood pressure and arterial stiffness. There's a severe metabolic breakdown that leads to diabetes and obesity, largely because that liver clock is so out of sync. And the research even links this temporal fragmentation to increased cancer risk, cognitive decline, and mental illnesses like anxiety and depression. Again, this is a matter of life and death, not just fatigue.
Which leads us to a really fascinating open loop. If light resets the brain's clock, what resets the liver? If our modern lifestyle, the erratic schedules, late-night snacking, the midnight screen time, is destroying our biology, how do we actually fix it? We already know we can use bright morning sunlight to anchor the SCN in our brain. But how do we reach deep down into our organs and manually reset their biological time?
Well, the answer lies in an ancient survival mechanism called the secondary food clock. This is such a brilliant evolutionary fallback system. Millions of years ago, if food became scarce during normal daytime hours, our mammalian ancestors couldn't just sit around and starve. They had to adapt. So our biology evolved to allow our eating schedules to actually override the brain's master light clock if necessary, just to keep us alive. The timing of when you consume calories is such a powerful biological signal that it can forcefully drag your peripheral organ clocks into a completely new time zone.
And that gives us our first concrete clinical biohack. We can reset your hypothalamic food clock using a method called circadian rhythm fasting. It's simple but highly effective. Step 1, you complete a strict 16-hour fast. This prolonged absence of food signals a hard biological reset to your peripheral organs, prepping them for a new rhythm. Step 2, consume a substantial breakfast immediately upon waking up during your target daytime. By fasting through the night and eating a heavy meal first thing in the morning, you forcefully realign your digestive clock and your metabolism to the daytime, snapping those fragmented internal clocks right back into sync with your brain.
Now, what if you're coming off a grueling schedule of night shifts? Or maybe you're a high performer dealing with severe jet lag and just total biological desynchronization. Let's explore what clinical science actually refers to as the Master Reset Protocol. This is exactly how we hack your biology back to normal. Researchers and doctors have developed highly specific, truly actionable strategies to guide the body out of nocturnal living and safely integrate it back into a diurnal, daytime schedule. Generally, there are two primary clinical paths you can take here. On one hand, we have chronotherapy. This relies on a gradual phase-advanced timeline. Because the human body's circadian system naturally only wants to shift about 1 hour per day, chronotherapy respects that. It slowly advances your sleep by 1 to 2 hours daily over a multi-day gap. On the other hand, we have the slam shift. This one is designed for rapid environmental integration when you've only got a single night to transition. It is definitely much harder on your physiology because it forces an immediate reset using strict environmental control and very calculated sleep restriction.
To execute this perfectly, you really have to use scenario-based sleep strategies. Let's look at the parameters. If you have a multi-day gap-off shift, sleep 4 to 5 hours that first morning, waking up by 1400. That ensures you'll still hit a normal 2200 bedtime. But if you only have a single-day buffer, you have to strictly limit that morning sleep to a maximum of 3 to 4 hours, waking up by 1230, and then aiming for an early 2100 bedtime to consolidate sleep. This calculated sleep restriction protects your nighttime sleep drive, making sure you don't ruin your ability to sleep deeply when it actually counts for your recovery.
But look, sleep timing is only half the battle here. You absolutely must use strategic light management to physically manipulate the SCN in your brain. Step 1, seek out bright morning sunlight immediately upon waking up. That triggers the wakefulness cascade. Step 2, utilize 200 to 450 milligrams of caffeine, but strictly within the first 2 hours. This clears sleep inertia without ruining your next block of rest. Step 3 is so critical if you do shift work. If you're driving home in the morning after a night shift, you must wear dark driving-approved sunglasses to block that daylight. If bright light hits your retinas, your brain thinks a new day is starting. Finally, step 4, black out your bedroom completely to simulate nighttime. You are manually controlling the light-dark cycle to trick your own biology.
Next, we can build a perfect daily timeline for circadian anchoring. In the morning, schedule moderate physical exercise. Exercise actually acts as a non-photic time giver, meaning it sets your internal clock without even using light. It spikes your cortisol and your core body temperature, sending this massive physiological signal to the body that it is daytime. Moving into the afternoon, if you absolutely must take a strategic nap, limit it to 20 or 30 minutes, and it has to happen before 15:00 to protect your nocturnal sleep drive. Then, in the evening, engage your parasympathetic nervous system with a simple 4-4-4-4 box breathing meditation to lower stress and prep the body for deep, restorative recovery.
But there is another incredible biological lever we can pull, and it's thermodynamic aids. We can actually manipulate our core body temperature to induce rest. You see, the circadian rhythm is deeply tied to thermoregulation. Your internal core temperature naturally drops when it's time to sleep. And surprisingly, we can use external heat to act as yet another time giver, manually accelerating this internal cooling process.
Let's break down exactly how this thermodynamic hack works, because it sounds a little backward at first. You want to take a warm bath or shower, specifically around 40 to 42.5 degrees Celsius, about 60 to 90 minutes before you go to bed. The mechanism here is brilliant. The external heat draws your blood away from your core and out to the surface of your skin, which paradoxically promotes rapid core body cooling the moment you step out of the bath. That sudden drop in internal temperature is a massive biological signal that accelerates sleep onset and triggers deep rest. Conversely, taking a brief cool shower in the morning does the opposite. It supports autonomic alertness, essentially shocking the nervous system into daytime wakefulness.
So we have just uncovered the hidden operating system that runs your entire body and the exact scientific protocols required to keep it from crashing. I want to leave you with this final incredibly important question. Is your modern lifestyle forcing your ancient biology into early failure? Or will you finally take control of your master clock? Because every single meal you eat, every hour of morning sunlight you get, and every time you stare at a glowing screen at midnight, you're either programming your body for emotional resilience, longevity, and high performance, or you're programming it for disease and systemic exhaustion. The science is absolutely clear. Now, it's completely up to you to apply it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.